We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen. Love y'all to pieces. Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi here again. I'm fine. I'm sure Brian's doing okay, but I just want to make sure y'all doing all right. You know, we
doing well, sir.
We never ask if the chat is doing all right, Bryan Broaddus. So I hope everybody watching is doing just fine. Go in the comments and let us know how you doing, just to make sure y'all all right too. Brian, we got Houston today. You know what I mean? Me and you still fighting this thing out, man. We still gonna break down how we're gonna cover these guys, and tomorrow we're gonna break down how Cooper Rush is gonna attack them and all this kind of stuff. But man, Brian, I was thinking about, I was listening to Todd Archer yesterday, man. Me and you got a chance to talk to Todd Archer and all this kind of stuff. Just want to ask you a question, man. We talked about coach-proof players.
Yeah.
We talked about coach-proof players, right? Is there really only 10 to 12 guys? Well, pardon me, it was like 9. Is there really only 8 to 9 guys that are staying and the other rest of the roster can just go? I didn't want to just flat out disagree with Todd like that and get into a long thing. I wanted him to get back to his family and his salmon and all that. And I kind of wanted to unpack it a little bit with you. The coach proof players. I'm thinking about last year's draft and kind of those guys.
Yeah.
Maybe the year before draft is really not hitting on very much.
It is up. That one's up for debate.
Sure. So Brian, let me just ask you. I asked Todd yesterday, where you at with the coach proof guys, and how do you implement this last draft in that conversation?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that you're going to get more out of this draft than you did the previous one. Sure. Unfortunately, boy, you needed, if you're going to be draft and develop, you need to draft and develop. You need your players to play. You're not going to hit on them all, but you didn't need, potentially your first round or your second round. I think I'm going to be honest with you, man. The second round player is looking worse than the first round player when you start to talk about Luke Schoonmaker and where's that's at right now.
Yeah.
Mozzie had a respectable game against the Eagles. It seems like the 2 games he's played the best this year have been the 2 divisional games, Giants and then the Eagles. So, I know Micah Parsons was tweeting out some stuff today about Mozzie. You guys are all going to wait and see, da-da-da-da-da. That's cool. I mean, I appreciate him doing that for that kid. The shame of this all is he's capable. That guy is capable. And I know you asked me a question that's not related to, how's Mozzie Smith playing? You asked me a question about the draft, but, you got to comment about Mozzie Smith because he's the one guy that seems to take the most arrows when it comes to the failure of that class. I was really, really wrong about Luke Schoonmaker. I just feel like right now, that he's, there. Could we see Luke Schoonmaker go somewhere else eventually and do good things? Possibility. But right now, Luke Schoonmaker doesn't look like the same football player that we watched. So how do you incorporate? You find the Overshown. That looks like it's going to work out for you fine. Yeah. Now you have to take this class. And the one thing is you've got to see this class with the exception. And, Nealon from what I'm hearing is doing a good job of working with Britt Brown and kind of getting back so maybe the last month of the season, you're going to see Nealon play. And I think Nealon needs to play, if you can get him out there and play, but all these guys we've seen Leofau play, we've seen Nealon play a little bit. We were encouraged by that. We've seen Guyton play. We've seen BB play. These are guys that to me are, they're going to be part of what you're doing going forward. I think the previous draft class, to your point, though, is clearly up in the air. And, I tend to agree with Todd Archer about maybe 10, 11 guys as being those untouchable type players. But everybody else is pretty much, can we do better? Can we draft better? Can we sign better? And I'm not talking about draft and then like sign bargain basement guys like they've done. look at how the Texans, just for example, how they've built their team. That's a team I think that really was bad for several years. After the Bill O'Brien administration, they started going bad. They Lovie Smith didn't exactly do a great job. When he was given the opportunity, it was a bad football team. So what happened? They were in a drafting position where quarterbacks were in need by teams, and they were able to trade and get, trade their quarterback, trade other picks. And, they stockpiled a lot of picks. They've got a really good young team. They've signed some free agents that have really helped them, not bargain basement guys. They've signed legitimate free agents, and their football team is a good football team, good young football team. So to me, that's a good example of how to draft, how to sign, the coach coming in and being a difference maker. There's a lot to look at that. Our brothers and sisters, 200 miles south of us, and what they've done with their organization. But like I said, I think that I'm not going to make the mistake of misevaluating this team any longer. I'm going to take the approach of, listen, you've got to prove this to me. And I thought Nick Harris made an excellent point today on the break. He said, listen, we all fell in love with Kalen Carson and how he practiced at training camp, because evidently he was going up against receivers that aren't very good every day in practice. Yeah. And then when he gets against the Rams and others, oh, whoa, what just happened, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, that's the mistake that I will no longer make. I'm going to be about the evaluations, and I'm like, who's going against who and how's that looking? And, because the first thing, and when we get Mike Lombardi on here, I guarantee you Mike Lombardi will say something about, well, the Dallas Cowboys misevaluated the roster. Sure. And I think Todd Archer gave a really good assessment of how many players, and I think you've probably done the same. You have an idea of, I don't know if your number, I don't think we've really, you and I talked about having that show,
sure,
but we really haven't had that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, your number might be, well, I see it's more like 20 guys, Brian. I have a gut feeling it's not more than that. Am I wrong or right?
No, I mean, I think it's Dak, Lamb, Tyler Smith. I do think that Diggs is more of a help for you than not. I've seen Diggs have more.
Yeah, Todd had questions about that. Yeah.
I've seen Diggs have more good years than bad years.
Sure.
So I would like for him to, get a coach in here and do whatever it is we need to do to get back on, just to get back on track. I would love for Diggs and Bland to come together and both be good at some point. I think that's something that could really benefit you. Bland is my fifth guy. I think Demo is a superstar. I think Micah Parsons is your other guy. That's not touchable. But I think just because of the youth and the upside, I think you can add Nealon and BB to that conversation.
Sure. Yeah, I think the list.
No. I ain't say guy, no, but go ahead.
No, I know you didn't, but I will give you credit for this. And this is why I love working with you. When we first started this journey, we've done draft talk and stuff like that. You and I went through the whole Guyton thing. And you're like, Bryan Broaddus, I'm going to tell you. Bryan Broaddus, let me tell you, this Guyton, I don't,
I did say it just like that.
You had an understanding of where potentially this thing could maybe go wrong. I know there's a lot of push to try and get him, move on from Steele, put him at right tackle and see what happens. I don't know if they'll do that. Now, maybe they would do it if they felt like that the next several weeks that they can play Awesome Richards, that Awesome Richards could be a serviceable to really a good left tackle.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then maybe that will give you a little bit more of an opportunity to try Guyton at right tackle, where he naturally played. But we've talked about this. There's some things, talking to folks over there, there's people that say that kid needs to grow up. Yeah. He needs to grow up. And, there's been some really good days with him, and then there's been some days where, it's not so good. He's dealing with an injury right now, trying to play through some things. Trying to, practice, but there's things that, need to grow up over there. And, that's not just one person, it's several people talking. And here I'm on a pregame show with Brad Sham, and Brad's saying, hey, I'm hearing the same thing. So there's people that they really do like the player, but, need to grow up. And these kids, hopefully they do grow up. They hopefully do. But I will give you credit that you said, hey, I have concerns about this one. Yeah. I have concerns. And so
even though I'm rooting for him, though, I'm very much so rooting for him, because if Guyton was good,
there's never been a moment where you're not rooting for the kid.
Yeah.
But you had your concerns where, a lot of people might have had the blinders on.
Sure.
Might have said, no, this is our guy.
Yeah.
So I will say this, just going through like 7 guys and tonight, adding, Jalen Walker, the outside linebacker from Georgia, and Michael Williams, the edge, and Luther Burton and Will Campbell. Those are the guys I'm going to do after our show tonight.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged by the players I've seen so far. I'm encouraged. If Dallas has a high pick, a top 10 pick, of these names I've seen so far, I'm encouraged that they're going to get a really good player.
I've actually whittled my list down to 6. And I don't think the Cowboys will be at 11 by the time this is over with.
No, I don't think they will either.
I think the Cowboys can work themselves into like 5 or 6, assuming that
I agree.
that a couple of quarterbacks go ahead of you. Hunter, Colorado, Ted McMillan, Arizona.
Sure.
Graham, Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our guy Carter from Penn State.
The Penn State, yep.
From Penn State. And I'm looking at our running back Genty.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our running back Genty. If you get either one of those guys, it helps you hugely.
Yeah. The thing with Genty is so fascinating to me, because you're probably drafted a player that's probably going to play 6 to 8 years.
Yep.
That's what he's going to be. But you know what he does?
That's your window.
He makes a poor offensive line better.
Yes. He makes people miss blocks. He forced a lot of missed blocks.
But he has over 600 carries in his career.
Yep.
You got to know that going in.
Yep.
He is as a rare of a talent when it comes to carrying the ball, the vision, the elusiveness. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think people are going to freak out about Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, because it's Michigan.
I'm not. Don't
freak out. Seriously, folks, don't freak out. This is a different scheme. This is a different player. This is a 320-pound man that gets up the field. So, keep that in mind. I love Carter from Penn State. I really do. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far with these names. And I'm sure it'll get better. And then the discussions will be more about, well, wow, what about Michael Williams? What about him instead of Carter at Penn State? Who do you like? That'll be questions. Yeah. There'll be questions about that. But the whole thing that you and I are talking about right now, when you're going to potentially be, when you're potentially going to be 5-12, you're not going to have a lot of untouchable players. Am I wrong about that?
You're right. You're right. We don't have a whole bunch. We got a bunch of old dudes, and I think we're going to end up saving a bunch of money. And I think all those non-untouchable dudes or young guys with high upside, I think everybody else is probably going to be just moved on from. But I think the rebuilding of the roster is going to be huge. I do think the rebuilding of the roster is going to be huge. I would love for us to really, and you know the Cowboys, Brian, but I would love for them to really feel this thing out in the offseason free agency, so that by the time we get to the draft, we're not having questions like, or we're not talking, all right, we can't draft Mason Graham because we need a linebacker or something. We need a this and that. I really want the Cowboys to be serious about free agency this year. Now, whether they do it or not, I don't know, but you need that.
I think if, as I mentioned, you take a page out of what the Houston Texans have done. I look at the Texans and just looking at their offense, go out and you get Joe Mixon, they signed Dalton Schultz a couple years ago. Shaq Mason, who's, struggling a little bit, but they go out and get a guy, Kendrick Green.
Tunsil too.
They make a trade. Tunsil. Yeah. I mean, they've drafted, they drafted Nico Collins in the 3rd round. They drafted Tank Dell in the 3rd round. They drafted John Minchie in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
They've made CJ Stroud, that's a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
But you look at what they've done on defense though. And we'll talk about their defense another time. I mean, tomorrow, but Hunter,
Stingley,
Stingley. Stingley was a draft pick. But Al Shazier,
yeah,
they signed him from Tennessee. I mean, they've done some things. They drafted Petrie, out of Baylor. See, they've helped their team with some free agents or trades in order to supplement what they did with their draft picks, which they've got a lot of them from Cleveland. I think they made a trade with Arizona that allowed them to draft Will Anderson. So there's some things that you can learn from just looking at that football team.
Yeah. Man, Brian, I was watching the Texans though, brother, and I think
there's some places you can attack these guys on this offensive line.
Pass rush, man. They're not blocking.
Mike Zimmer, and I don't know, buddy, if you got to see this one. I went back and I know I just had this a little bit because of my next gen stuff. That I was able to watch like all their sacks, all the sacks they gave up. I was curious how was it happening?
Sure.
The middle of that offensive line struggled a little bit.
Gap exchanges.
Yeah.
Stunt.
Gap exchanges, stunts. I watched the Green Bay game. Green Bay ran the exact stunt and the exact scheme that you did against Philadelphia with the AA gap with the 3 inside and two drop, 1 go. They ran that where they were picking. They picked the guard. They picked like Mason and they ran a guy around. Green Bay had their way in the middle of the pocket with these guys. Teams that have shown a lot of movement. And we talk about the Cowboys and the problems that they have with the twisting in the fronts, the stunts. I think this bunch right here, I think Mike Zimmer's going to have a good plan for these guys.
Sure.
And it could be with using how he's going to use Overshone, how he can use Parsons. I'll tell you what, you can walk these tackles back. I was watching Howard get walked a couple of different times. And this quarterback wants to step up to throw. So you affect things in the middle. You bring loopers, twisters, blitzers. This guy, I mean, he does have some good numbers against blitzes. He does have some good numbers against the blitz.
Yeah.
But he throws a lot of interceptions when you play him with no blitz.
Sure. Honestly, Brian, I think they're at their best when they're like, working with Mixon and he's kind of leading things, and then they can kind of play action off of him, and then they kind of get into this flow off of that. I think sometimes, and honestly, Brian, me and you talk about this every week. Hey, if any team gets away from the running back, we got a shot, right? And I'm watching Houston, and sure enough, they're kind of that same thing. Like if they lean on Mixon, they're good. But if they start to overthrow the football a little bit, then they get themselves in trouble.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. What I've learned is I just said, okay, give me all the runs with Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Everything all the good runs were going to the left. So it's behind Tunsil and that group over there.
Yeah.
Their tight ends don't block worth a damn. Reminds me very much of what Dallas does with tight ends. Dalton Schultz just not interested in blocking.
Yeah.
Good player, just not interested in blocking but they are all those big Mixon runs were going behind the left side to the outside. Where they were having problems was trying to get outside to the right.
Sure.
They had some run stuffs over on that side, where they weren't getting any yards or a negative play. So if you're Dallas, you have to think, okay, this is probably going to come out of pistol where, Mixon behind, right behind Stroud, hand him the ball, let him go. This coordinator is San Francisco background, So what you're going to get is similar. You're going to get 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. You're going to get that. You're going to get you're going to get some stuff underneath center. Got to be ready for that, which is your play action game you were talking about.
Yep.
So, yeah, just know that their best outside runs come to your defense's right side. Just know that going in. Mike knows that. Zimmer's got to look at the metrics tell me they run the ball better to that side, to the outside, than they do any other place. They're like everybody else. They struggle with some stack box stuff. They break tackles. This runner's really good at breaking tackles.
Yeah.
Physical runner. And Dallas has had problems with those kinds of physical backs.
Yeah.
They've had more problem with the running quarterback, I think.
Sure.
The Ravens game and the Philly game last week. Yeah. Running quarterback situation. But I'll tell you what, getting Nico Collins back for them is going to be a big help.
That's huge.
Big body, slant runner, inside runner, vertical runner. Tank Dell, I was looking at Tank Dell. Every ball they were throwing Tank Dell would seem like it was something on a crossing route. I went up and looked it up. 10 for 10. 10 targets, 10 receptions on crossing routes.
Sure.
If I'm Bobby Slolik, I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, let's watch the Detroit game. Detroit runs a lot of crossers.
Yeah.
What's San Francisco do? Let's watch that game. Detroit killed you on the crossing route stuff.
Yeah.
Just killed you. So he's got to think about getting Tank Dell, on those crossing routes and trying to handle things that way.
I think
it's going to be like, say, you could, if you could get these guys not to run the ball,
sure,
you could rush these guys.
Yeah.
You could rush this offensive line.
If we were actually going to come into this game and compete a little bit, I would have brought this point up. But the Texans get a lot of penalties their way. You know what I'm saying? They could be a bit sloppy sometimes out there playing. And if this was a competitive contest, I would have brought that up, Bryan, but I don't think it's going to be one of them. But I do think that you can make it a low scoring contest if you want to.
Sure.
I think CJ Stroud having film on him for a year, I think that's mattered a little bit.
Does.
Tank Dell, even though he's done well crossing, I don't think he was the guy that he was last year. He was really emerging last year, but you kind of add some help to that. And I think they were going to try to do a lot with Diggs, and then Diggs got hurt.
Diggs got hurt, yeah.
So, they've been dealing with injury at wide receiver in general. So I think Nico Collins, and it's funny because Nico Collins, he was like the best receiver in the whole league when he was healthy.
Right.
But then he got hurt or whatever. So
he's got the hamstring problem. So we'll see. I mean, it seems like that every time somebody's got a questionable injury, they show up and play.
They come back fantastic versus us. Yeah.
Come back. Oh yeah. Oh, Dallas is in town. Oh, well, yeah, let's go. Yeah. But if Dallas, I will say this, Dallas can hang with these guys defensively, I believe, with the pressure.
Yeah.
But they can't afford to be out there like they were against Philadelphia, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then getting put back out there.
Sure.
And that's going to be the problem. When we sit down, and I'm going to have to take a peek tomorrow morning at of this Houston defense.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's going to be everything that the metrics say it is.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be a very difficult team to move the ball on.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling.
Yeah.
Without even looking at it,
I don't really think Dalton Schultz is gonna kill you that much in this game. The last couple of games we've had to deal with Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert and George Kittle.
I don't think stuff to the flats and outs and stuff like that. That seems to be where he's
a check down guy.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
He really is. But like I say, this kid will throw some interceptions to you now. Got to be ready.
Sure.
He'll hold the ball.
Yep.
But how much is he going to be able to hold the ball with Dallas is showing, like I say, you got a hands on that Green Bay game. You could watch them attack the middle of the pocket and him. Everybody who attacks the middle of the pocket they have success.
Sure.
Because he wants to step up and throw. He'll walk into a sack.
Yeah.
He'll walk into a sack. Yeah. So got to be ready for that. But I think Dallas could be very competitive on defense against these guys. Yeah. The Dallas offense against their defense might be a whole nother story.
Do you see the Cowboys actually taking advantage of those possible turnovers that Houston can actually hand us? They will give the ball away.
I don't know if they'll take. I think you can get them in the pocket, and I think you can get the interceptions.
Yeah.
Can you score when you got the ball on the Houston 28? No. It looks like to me that's looking like a 41-yard field goal to me.
Yeah, it's 3 points.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's anything. Yeah. I mean, I want to believe that maybe we'll see some quarterback, not just, okay, Cooper Rush. Now you get, when it's, I mean, I'd like to see Cooper Rush, maybe within a series, all of a sudden it's the third down play and you're like, or, you just boom, or you run Trey Lance in there and Houston's kind of like, oh shit, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then you're doing an RPO and it's Trey Lance running for 11 yards or so, I want to believe.
Sure.
Well, let me tell you, Voch, what I really want to see.
Please.
What I really want to see.
Young guys.
I always want to see young guys, but injuries allowed me to see young guys. What I really want to see is I want to see Mike McCarthy and that offensive staff do exactly what Mike Zimmer did last week.
Figure something out.
Yeah. Figure something out. Show me, don't go out there and run the same tired ass offense and expect it to work. And we're going to,
Bryan,
but see, Zimmer said, I'm tired of this. I got Micah Parsons back and now I'm going to go do something about it.
So Bryan, yesterday was talking to Todd Archer. Yeah. I didn't want to fuss with him because he's a guest in our home.
Yeah.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer and Mike McCarthy, you can look at them and tell.
Yeah.
I think Mike McCarthy's checked out because he's done
nothing
different
and you're right.
with his offense. I look at Mike Zimmer.
I can't dispute that.
You can tell. This is why I respect Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer don't have a Dak and a CeeDee Lamb and a Tyler Smith, right? But you can see him, all right, this is how we going to do it. I can look at Mike Zimmer's game plan, and I can tell he's staying up till 1 a.m. trying to figure this out. Mike McCarthy's doing the same stuff with maybe a tweak here and there. He's doing the same stuff we've been doing since week 3, Bryan, bro. That's the point I was trying to make.
No, you're right. And it's funny because, to your point, Nick Harris said the same thing today. Nick Harris said, hey, let me tell you what this week's offensive adjustment's going to be. And I looked at him, I'm like, what do you think? He says, Jonathan Mingo. That's this week's adjustment.
Yep.
Let's get the ball to Jonathan Mingo. Let's see what Jonathan Mingo can do. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I think this thing's at. Mike Zimmer, you see things. Mike Zimmer, you see him try. And I'm not saying that because Mike Zimmer's my friend.
Sure.
Because you can watch the game and see that Mike was trying to disrupt Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He just got put out on the field after about 6 straight 3-and-outs in a row, but he's trying. He's trying to keep this thing somewhat respectable. And now they've lost the quarterback. So now he's thinking, well, damn it. Here we go. We're going to have 8 3-and-outs this game. And I'm going to have to figure something out. And I don't have enough depth right now to do it. But at least he's trying to do something.
Yeah. Well, Bryan, man, we can have guests in here and we'll keep it cool, but me and you gonna fuss about it the next day. I like that a little bit. You know what I mean?
I know. I'm gonna fuss about it too.
This is what I felt. But yeah, man, I'm pretty much over the head coach, offensive play call or whatever. I'm just ready to.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, but I just try. Just you know what? Do something out of character.
Yeah.
Just do something out of character, and I'm not talking about, we played with a little tempo today. do something out of character.
We still haven't seen Turpin at running back.
Yeah,
we
you
still
don't have. Yeah, you don't have your quarterback. So
Sure.
do something. Do something that Army Navy game.
Yeah.
Army runs the ball for 500 yards a game, but what are they going to do? They're going to throw it 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's going to blow Navy's mind.
Yep.
Yep. Do something. Just don't run routes short of the sticks and expect your guys to break tackles like you're the 49ers or something like that.
If you're going to lose anyway, don't throw the ball at the line.
Yeah, just go and make it interesting, man. Yeah. Your defensive coordinator is trying to make it interesting. Hell, he held you in the damn game the other day.
Yeah.
He held you in the game at halftime, got a stop to start the second half, and you 3 and out him for like 6 straight times.
Yeah.
Come on. No.
Well, Bryan Broaddus, that was a very spirited breakdown of this Cowboys.
I'm gonna go watch college players now.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. Me too. That's it.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna dump you off this show, and I'm gonna go watch me some college players. Is what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna send you a text right now, and I'm gonna make a guess. I'm gonna send you a text right now, and I'm gonna make a guess. So you say you're gonna watch.
I got Jalen Walker for linebacker from Georgia.
Haven't seen him yet.
Michael Williams, the edge from Georgia. So it's Georgia Bulldog night. Luther Burden from Missouri, the wide receiver, and then Will Campbell, the tackle from my alma mater of LSU.
I'll keep this easy. I don't think you're going to like Michael Williams. You're going to love Luther Burden.
Okay.
I think you're going to love Luther Burden. I don't think you're going to like Michael Williams.
Am I going to like Luther Burden like I like Hunter and McMillan?
Yep.
Oh. They're starting off. So you're telling me I got 3 first-round guys already then, huh?
You got 3 top 10 receivers already. Yeah. I think Luther's the clear, and I don't even want to say that because there's some people that got Luther.
Burden, Missouri, by the way. Luther Burden, Missouri.
Luther Burden, wide receiver, Missouri. Some people have him as the best guy. I don't think that necessarily. I think he'll be the clear third guy here, but I think he's like.
Wait a minute. You got Hunter playing corner. So you might think it as McMillan and then Burden, right? Where I would be Hunter, McMillan, and then what I think about Burden.
I might have Burden a better receiver than Hunter. I don't know.
Okay.
Soon.
All right.
I love Burden to pieces, but I ain't gonna tell you nothing else. I just want you to watch for yourself.
Please don't.
And we gonna talk. We ain't gonna wait till Friday. Let's talk to you tomorrow. But I film
tomorrow. We're gonna talk about these cats.
We're gonna talk about. But I didn't like Michael. But whatever. I'll let you come to
Michael
your own
Williams.
conclusion.
You didn't like Michael Williams, huh?
I'll let you come to your own conclusion. Because look, I think a lot of this is flavors of ice cream, and I don't like the flavor of Michael Williams.
Man, you listened to my show back in the day.
I'm a fan of yours. I'm still shocked that I'm doing a show with you. I'm starstruck. You know, I'm just used to you at this point.
You're not. Hey, when you and I battle at this draft, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna really hate me, and I'm gonna hate you too when we battle.
I compete, but
I know you compete.
We'll shake hands and go get food. Yeah, we'll shake hands and go get food after. Hey, y'all be sure to tap in tomorrow. Me and Bryan Broaddus gonna have a spirited conversation about some of these draft picks. Y'all be sure to tap in with me at Voch Lombardi. I'm talking draft on social medias now. I'm putting up polls and all kind of fun stuff because that's more exciting than our Cowboys here. And Bryan Broaddus is probably tweeting a little less than me these days. So
yeah, I am.
But y'all still follow us either way. Don't forget to go in the comments and tell us how y'all doing. And me and Bryan gonna check up on y'all in the morning. All right. Y'all be sure to tap in with us tomorrow. We're gonna take a look at the Texans defense and talk a little bit of draft like we did today. All right, y'all hold it down. We'll catch y'all next time. Love you. Crown.